from around the world. This is Do It Now.
That's it. 2024.
The year of the takeover.
Come on.
Ready to take over.
Let's go.
It's about to be a takeover. It's about to be a takeover.
I didn't know if you wanted me to sing or talk.
I know you could have been the hype man or something.
I was trying to.
It didn't come to you.
I started out good, and then
You was warming up. You was warming up. Hey, folks, we're excited. I guess we're gonna talk about the takeover, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So say hey to everybody.
How you doing, Pastor Charlie? Now Church, we are. Hey, listen, if you don't know by now, 2024, we are this is the year of the takeover. We've been talking about we the best church for a long time, but this year we about to really show who we are.
About to be a takeover.
Come on.
I need some more pads here. This.
Some more music.
Come on, Benji. Every time I get here, I think I need it. It hits me. When you say takeover, what does that mean to you? Do you have something?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that for me takeover is it's bothered me for a long time that believers have always been like we've always followed after the world. So if the world does something, then the church is like, oh, we could do that. Oh, that's cool. And it's supposed to be the opposite way. It's supposed to be the church is supposed to be setting an example, and the world is following after.
Why do you think that is? Like real talk. Why do you think? I think I have an idea, but why do you think that is?
Religion.
Yeah.
I think religion has killed a lot of creativity.
Yeah.
It's killed a lot of people being them because people come in church and they act. I mean, look. I mean, we about to have church and look how we dress. You know. It's
Yeah,
like
and we get criticized for this.
And people come in church and they try to act like somebody they not, and it's
Yeah.
like, no, just be you, because you, who God created you to be, if you walk in that, you could take over.
Yeah.
But when you try to act like somebody you're not, you try to look a certain way, you try to talk a certain way, you try to act all holier than thou, it's like, man, that's boring. Don't nobody want to deal with that. And it's just like, and then we find ourselves being boring, lame. Don't nobody want to come to church.
part.
It's not fun. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's like, you can't
We lose our individuality. You lose your creativity. You lose all the cutting edge stuff. You can't because you have to think out of the box in order to be creative. You know.
We're not doing that here.
Yeah.
We're not doing 9 years ago, you taught it best. You said there ain't no section called church clothes in the store. You know, everybody go to get church clothes. Like, what is that? You know what I mean? You remember? Never mind.
I do remember that. The church. No, you're on topic because like the church goes, the church clothes aisle. You know, it's like where's that aisle?
Oh, you can't wear that to church. Like, says who?
Yeah, it's crazy, and that's unfortunate to be honest with you because you can't. I always say you can't take over until you take under, right?
I'm telling you.
You got to kind of figure out, what God is saying in your life and what God is doing, because I think, back to your point of religion is man-made. I don't think people understand that, and for good reasons in some areas, because you do have to have some type of order, or you'll have chaos,
Right.
So just like how we have the government system that constantly is being tweaked based upon, whatever knowledge and whoever's in power, I guess. But, so there is obviously a need for religious institutions and what it brings, but you cannot allow that to, I think, get in the way of the God thing,
I think one of the things that that I've just grown to understand as I mature is that if God created you to be loud for
Be
God.
loud.
If God created you to be like the quiet person in the corner and you just
Go
watch
sit down and be
go sit
quiet.
down. If God created you to be that one that, hey, listen, Peter had to cut. If you got to, I'm not saying cut nobody. I'm going to stop right there. But if God created you to be this, then be that.
Yeah.
Stop trying to be something that you're not, trying to fit into a box that's going to make everybody else comfortable. And I think for us, when we talk about the takeover, it's time for us to be who we are.
Yeah, you'll end up. I think you'll end up miserable too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, like you'd be miserable. If I had to do this being somebody else, I would be the most miserable person to be around. I mean, you'd be that guy that's out front doing all the, but behind the scenes, just
depressed. Can't stand walking in the building every day because you got to act like somebody else.
And you'd be horrible to be around. I knew people like that, just they were great at what they did, but, when it came to being around them, they just weren't,
Absolutely.
they just weren't no fun because you just kind of, lose yourself. All right, so we're at the top of the year. What are you doing to kind of, set the path right, get get it crunk. Did you do the Daniel fast?
I
Don't
did.
lie in front
I
of
did.
God
I
and
did.
church.
I did the
Where my
Daniel
organ at?
fast. I did the Daniel fast. I'm appreciative and thankful that.
Do you know how hard it was for me to get Pastor Charlie to do the Daniel? When we first, you got to do the Daniel fast.
No, it wasn't hard, was it?
Selective memory. Go ahead, but we here now.
No,
You do it now.
I'm glad that you were obedient and
We used to
and
do
you listened
21 days.
7 days. I ain't gonna lie to you. I don't think I could have done 21 days.
You could have done 21
No, I
days.
couldn't have done 21.
You could have done 21. You wouldn't have liked it, but I promise you we could have got to it. Because I don't know that I want to do 21, but we would have did all right. It's like anything. You do what you got to do.
I mean, but
You
at the
take
end-
your son 4 and 5 o'clock in the morning.
I was about to say-
You do what you got to do.
At the end of the day, I think for me, what I've learned with fasting, period, and I do intermittent fasting throughout the year, and so 7 days isn't that hard. But it's a dietary change, and a lot of the things that we've had to take out of our diet, I've already done. So that part wasn't hard. I'll tell you what I did different this year, though. I on purpose fasted from like my cell phone, social media,
Great.
different things like, and I mean, the last 2 weeks of the year, I kind of took off.
Yeah.
And like, I didn't do anything. Like
Yeah.
I took off to reset, and I didn't check my email for 21 days.
Wow.
I didn't do nothing. I mean, I did little stuff.
I wish I could do that.
But I literally just kind of checked out, and that for me,
Wow.
like, I feel refreshed coming into this year.
That's why your energy is up here, mine.
Maybe so. I don't know, but I feel refreshed.
That's great,
I
though.
needed it though, because last year I traveled so much.
Yeah.
Like, I needed a break.
So you got to reset no matter what, like every now and then. And reset, I found out, unlike restart or reboot, doesn't mean you stop and start from scratch again. When you reboot, that means you cut off everything and you start, all over again.
Yeah.
That's what reboot or restart means, by the way. Reset means you continue, but you just continue in a fresher way, a different way, in a newer way.
Right.
So it's a slowing down, but not a stopping, so to speak, but just kind of a repositioning yourself, repositioning your mind and your heart. So I think, you should always do a reset.
I knew for me, if I didn't take the time to reset based on what you're saying right now, for where we're going, I would have fizzled out quarter two. Like for me to get through this year, I needed to kind of just reset my mind, reset my goals, reset, like check my systems to make sure, like, okay, is this what you really want to do? Okay. We did this last year. How much do you want to make this year? What do you want to impact this year? I needed to, and if I didn't do that, I couldn't have made it through the year. Because I'm expecting this year to be, it's going to be one of the best years I've ever had.
Yeah, you got, I love that. It's going to be one of the best years I've ever had. You definitely have to, you definitely have to reposition yourself every time I think you're going to another level.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think if you don't, that's where burnout occurs. And, a lot of people people ask me a lot of times, how do you keep going? How do you keep, because I'm always resetting. I'm always, part of that too is the revelation of now too. Yeah. I'm always kind of going, okay, what needs to happen now? One of the things we're doing here at the church, normally, if you're around Now Church, we're always doing, this conference and that retreat and this, that, and all that kind of stuff. And God said in the year of the takeover, none of that. This first 2 quarters, we are literally just focusing on us. Mm-hmm. And, sometimes too, that's what takeover means.
Right.
It literally means get your house in order.
Right.
Get yourself in order. I'm talking about, I don't know when this will air, but today I'm talking about, or Sunday I'll be talking about Job and how that suffering, if you want to talk about a book of suffering, you could definitely kind of make the argument that Job is a book of suffering, but obviously it's a book of restoration and faith and all that too. But that the idea of why sometimes you have to go through intense seasons in your life and suffering or whatever, it's to expose your weaknesses.
Absolutely.
Expose those areas where you think you got it all together, but you don't.
Absolutely.
And you can't take over nothing again until you take under, some of these things.
I think it's important to remember in life, whether it's in your career, in your family, in your church, that if you're looking to or you want to grow in any area, there has to be if you look at it like seed time and harvest, you look at planting. Before the harvest comes, there has to be a season of germination. There has to be a season of storms. There has to be a season of something dying to something to live. Like there it has to be, and it's unfortunate and it hurts as you're going through it. But when you look at the other end of it, it's always a beautiful thing. And when you look at everything that it yields after you go through it, it's like a lot of times we think when storms comes like, oh God, why is this happening? It's like maybe it's coming to clear the path. Maybe it's coming to get some of the people out of your life. You know what I mean? Like if you don't go through this, you're not going to figure out how strong you really are.
And life keeps moving,
with or without you.
Like it is an important thing to understand. Life keeps moving. Yeah. Kids grow. Relationships change. Money, does what it does. Politicians change powers. Life just keeps going, and you have to be willing to go with life. And I think if you try to hold life back or try to stop things and whatnot, that's what gets people in trouble.
Hey folks, Javen here. If you've been stuck, if you've been procrastinating, if you've been feeling like you don't know where your next season, your next breakthrough is going to come from, I want to challenge you right now. I got the answer for you. Do it now. Why wait when your best is now? My best-selling book. I want you to pick it up today. It's going to help you get unstuck and get going with this season of your life, because there's so many extraordinary things that are supposed to be taking place right now in your life, but sometimes we just need a little booster. At the end of every chapter, there's a workshop assignment that's going to help you begin to plan your day, plan your week, plan your year. This is your season of now. This is your season of yes, and it's time for you to do it now. Pick it up today.
No matter where you are in life, Do It Now is a must-read. Get your copy of Do It Now and get some great nuggets of wisdom by award-winning recording artist, TV host, actor, producer, and author, Javen. Available anywhere books are sold. Why wait for better when your best is now?
Let's talk about motivation. What motivates you these days?
What motivates me these days is I think just being a better father. Being a better husband. I really want to maximize the time that I have with the people that I really love, because it's so short. This last quarter of this last year, as a grown up, I've never experienced as much death as I have this past quarter. I had 5 people that I personally knew and had relationships with that transitioned in the past quarter, and it weren't like they were sick. It was all like, what in the world? Like,
right.
So it's just like
unexpected
to the 10th degree. And so for me, it's just like, life is short. Life is short. Like, yeah, it's cool to make money, and I want to make as much as possible. But what motivates me now is I just want to be the best father and husband I can, and really maximize the time that I have. If it's going to the park, I'm gonna give it everything I got. Me and Brooklyn on the swing. If it's in the basketball, like I'm changing the way I talk when I'm training my son, just encouraging, just trying to be, just want to love on people that are really in my circle. I just want to be the best father and husband I can.
That's good. I would say for me is I'm in a season of making sure that I'm making lasting decisions for as many people as possible. That's good. Right? Just making sure that I'm setting the pace and setting the course for whosoever will. Yeah. Everybody don't want to come, but for the ones that do, I want them to be able to say, hey, Pastor Jay did, give us this path to get to X, Y, and Z if you want to get there. I will say this. If you in life, for the most part, I've found, if whatever you want to accomplish in life, I believe God gives you the ability and the fortitude to get it done.
Absolutely.
The scripture says he gives you the desires of your heart. So I believe that is the case. I just think you have to, I don't know. I think you have to have the character to take that on. And I've found that character to take that on is usually built through a pathway of what the world will call struggle, suffering.
There's a saying out there, or a quote, I'm not sure where I heard it or where I saw it, but it doesn't take 20 years or 30 years to develop into $1 million business. It takes 20 or 30 years for the person to develop the character to handle $1 million business.
It's a great way to say that.
And it's like, there has to be some growing, some pruning, some pain, some struggle. There has to be some of that. So when it does come, you appreciate it. You know how to deal with it. You know how to treat people.
Let me tell you, this is an issue, and I hope we get some demographics that's a little younger, or if you're a parent and you got college kids or whatever, college age, try to get them to watch this. Just for what I'm getting ready to say right now. This is what gets, I think, this is why a lot of our young people are not being as successful as their forefathers, meaning our kids not being able to have what we had at their age and so forth and so on. I didn't have what my dad had at his age, to be honest with you. Now rather we have more money or not, I'm not sure. As far as that is concerned, I probably do. I'm not sure. But as far as prestige, this, that, and the other, I don't think I might be. I don't know. I don't even know why I said that. But the point I'm making is the issue here is what we have is people wanting to enjoy life before experiencing life. Yeah. Wanting to jet set before you pay the price and do the work on you first. A lot of young people are watching influencers and whatnot, and so they want to get the likes, so they're taking the clothes off, or they're acting stupid, or they're doing the trends, so they can get endorsed and whatnot, so they can buy the nice car and whatnot. You don't have no business. As far as I'm concerned, you don't have no business unless you are what do you call it, a silver spoon baby, or a generational wealth baby, a trust fund baby. You don't have no business driving around no expensive car at no 22, 21 years old just because you have the money.
Yeah.
You don't have no business, buying no big house, at 24, 25, unless it's an investment of something or whatever the case may be. But what you need to do is you need to continue. You should be continuing working on yourself to the wealth. Let me say it this way, so that way y'all don't get too offended. The wealth is you.
Absolutely.
So we think sometimes we have to expand the material things. When you expand your materials, let me help you. You're expanding your bills. Man. That's all you're expanding. You're expanding your. Look at Benji looking. That's all you're doing. You're adding. Trust me, I've been there. You want to expand yourself because that's where the wealth is. So if you have put all these bills or responsibilities on yourself, meaning this car and this jewelry and this trip and that trip and going all over the place, now you got to go and work and hustle, find money to pay for and keep all that stuff. Guess who's not growing while you're doing all that stuff? You.
Yeah. One of the things that social media does is it has you comparing, not you, it has people comparing themselves to what somebody else is doing that oftentimes is not even real. It's
Correct.
not even the truth. And so when you talk about takeover, when you talk about this is the year of the takeover, and just like you started out with, it has to start with you. And if you're comparing yourself to what everybody else is doing and you're looking at, oh, they got this, so I got to get this, or that's what is hot right now, or this is a new shoe that's coming out. If you're comparing yourself to that, you're always going to feel like you're never enough. It's always going to feel that way. I was just having a conversation with my son, and I said, it's so important to remember that with wealth and with purchasing all these material things, there comes a responsibility. I said, do you know how much I spend in mortgages every single month? And it's like, if I wanted to not work, I can't at this point, and it's just like, right. But I'm building an investment, but it's taken me 42, 43 years to
Correct.
get here.
Correct.
But it's like, that's a big responsibility.
The wealth is already there because you've paid the price, because you went through the suffering, the sacrifices.
I had these bills 20 years ago, I don't know what I would have did.
Right.
I don't know what I would have did.
I looked around the other day, and I realized traveling around, the majority, and I hope I don't offend nobody, but the majority of the people that I am seated around is old white people, right?
Well, that's because you sit in those big first class comfortable seats. And coach, it's a lot of us in the back, but.
Your point being,
I was like, this ain't got nothing to do with nothing. But you somewhere you posted, I was like, the seat you sitting there looked like you was going out of the country. I was like, is he like, what is that? It had like its own little section.
Oh, that's first class.
No, all first class flights don't look like that.
You don't want to have this conversation because me and him have a banter that goes back and forth.
We was going somewhere one time, and I was flying with you, and I got to the front of the line with you. He's like, oh, I'm not waiting in that line. Go up here with me. So we get up in line. We walk on. I'm following him. He's like, "Oh no, you go that way. I go this way." Oh, okay. Quickly reminded me who I was. So, okay, I got you. He said, "You could come with me, but you ain't sitting with me."
I'm older than Charlie, okay? So I paid the price to go.
Older.
Yeah, exactly. So I paid the price to go that way, which is the point I'm making. The point I'm making is when you work hard and when you establish, that season and seasons, plural, by the way, of suffering and challenges, endurance, whatever you want to call it, like I can start with the eating ramen noodles in college and the driving the 76 Camaro, which I wish I still had to this day, that used to rain.
Be worth $100,000.
Oh my God, man. Oh my God. But I was trying to live like everybody else and I traded that car for I shouldn't say stupid, for a Hyundai Civic, man, and thought I had done something.
That thing would be a classic right now.
The young mind,
I had a 87 Cadillac, a big long Cadillac.
Yeah,
I looked up online how much those things cost now.
How much?
It was like $60,000.
Yeah.
I think when I think I needed like $500. I sold it to a junkyard for like $750.
Oh yeah,
crazy.
I sold mine for $500. We do all this crazy stuff, but you live and you learn, and you realize one of the pivotal moments for me is when I made the transition from Tampa to Los Angeles. Yeah. That was an eye-opening experience for me because that was the moment I walked away from the job unannounced, unplanned, no severance, no nothing. And I sold the house and, put stuff in storage. My son was with me at the time. We went and lived at a friend's house who had 2 empty bedrooms. He was in one, I was in the other, and did that for about 4 months. And then from there, everywhere I went, I would walk the city, and sometimes as desperate as taking my shoes off and walking on the sidewalk and praying. Like when you go through suffering times or whatever, it pushes you one way or the other.
Character building times, yeah. But that goes back to what you were saying though. That you cannot take over. You cannot. You're not going to get to the takeover in June, in July, and you're not going to get that if you don't take the time to say, you know what, let me get away from everything else, and I have to first believe this, and I got to be willing to be hungry, I got to be willing to walk, I got to be willing to be uncomfortable, I have to be willing to go through this, because this is the one thing that I've gotten, and I've gotten it from watching you, I've gotten it from watching other successful people, I've gotten it from either some things that I've seen and done myself, that until you believe it, it's not the world's responsibility to allow you to walk in your gift. The Bible says that your gift will make room for you, right?
Absolutely.
So it's not. I'm not hating on you because I don't like what you're doing. It's your fault that you ain't make me believe. You know what I'm saying? Like that's if you got a project or a book, it's not their fault because they don't buy it.
Yeah.
What are you doing to make them believe?
Yeah.
Like, do you believe?
Yeah. And just because they told you no, that wasn't your green light to stop. Just because they didn't accept, that's not your green light to quit.
You go from Tampa to L.A., if you don't live in a hotel and live with your friend and walking and taking your shoes off and crying and making $1 million, if you don't do that, then this never comes.
Exactly.
So it's like it goes hand in hand.
I will tell you this, that I do remember a lot, though. I did not complain in those seasons.
Oh, you can't. You can't. You almost got to. You got to do the opposite. You got to rejoice.
Well, because you're selling you.
Absolutely.
You're selling the dream. You're the self source.
Yep.
So if the source is complaining, and if the source is anxiety or stress or negativity, then ain't nothing coming. The harvest is going to be there.
It comes with a different level of understanding when you're going through it, if you know what you're going to.
Yeah.
It's like going to the gym, right? You can go to the gym and it's uncomfortable, it's painful, but that's why they got so many mirrors in there, because you watching yourself go through that process.
Come on, that's a good.
You know what I mean? It's like if you can't see yourself going through the process, that's why everybody's standing in front. I would imagine people probably spend as much or more time looking at themselves in the mirror as they do working out.
I don't know about that.
For the simple fact that
you
keeps
can tell
you
who
encouraged.
doesn't work out right.
That keeps you encouraged. I mean, so
no, I know what you mean.
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
But no,
it's
you're right. I
it's
don't work out, but I see
it's
people
true. No,
standing
you
in the
doing
mirror
more.
looking.
You doing better. No, it's true. We got to wrap it up, but it's true because to your point, it's a So if you're in the gym working out and you feel muscle ache the next day, that means you did something. By the way, if you done worked out and you wake up the next day, you'll feel too much. You probably didn't do too much. But if you feel like, oh my God, you feel like, oh yeah, I did legs yesterday.
But then what's the key though? What do you have to do? You got to keep going back.
You got to keep going back.
Yeah,
and that's
stop right there. Nothing happens.
And that's a different body pain than sitting in a car for a 4-hour drive, and you get cramps and whatnot. That's a non-productive pain or stress. So I like to say, godly pain is pain that God led you through. God led you to, and God led you through. Ungodly pain is pain that you gain from things that you should not have been doing or things that you were not prepared to do. Yeah. So that can help you differentiate between, what is productive and what is unproductive. Don't be in an unproductive thing and then try to put God on it, which we do a lot.
Absolutely.
God bless this mess. No, you shouldn't have been in that relationship. You knew that girl wasn't the one for you in the first place, but you just wanted the bad girl, or you wanted a toxic person. Some of us are attracted to toxic people. Let's keep it 100. Yeah. And then we get into a situation and wonder why our tires got slashed. Our clothes got burnt up.
I say, you sound personal.
Yeah. No.
Wait a minute. What?
I'm a good communicator. I know how to come down your street is what it is. As Miss Carol would say, you're in my Kool-Aid, Pastor. Nobody's never torn up my clothes. But I'm sure I've had moments and seasons of being attracted to toxic people for one reason or the other. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like it hit you personal. Anyways, y'all, we love y'all. We want you to have an incredible year. This is the year of the takeover. Absolutely. This is a season and a time where we take authority. If you said yes last year, then you're prepared for the takeover this year. Absolutely. Is the bottom line. If you surrendered and went through everything that God required of you to do, then I promise you, whether you feel like it or not, buddy, you got what it takes.
And if you here in South Florida and you make it by the Now Church, I'm telling you, you have no choice but TakeOver to be the only option in your family. You have no choice. You have no choice.
Love y'all.
It's about to be a takeover. It's about to be a takeover. It's gonna be a takeover. Takeover. Takeover.